All right, so let's go. All right, so coronary artery disease, I put it down as a continuation of diabetes because if somebody has coronary artery disease, usually they have diabetes. Andrea, you heard me. Okay? So let's go over this. All right. So what is coronary artery disease? What is it? Michael, what is it? Go ahead and Google it. What is coronary artery disease? Go ahead.
Damage or disease heart blood vessels.
Awesome, good, yeah. So coronary artery disease means that you have pretty much fat inside the blood vessels that feed the heart. Braden, listening? Okay. All right, so this is your heart. There's vessels that go over your heart like this. These fingers are the vessels that feed the heart itself, right? So blood goes to the heart through these vessels. Well, these vessels have fat inside of them. That is what coronary artery disease is you having fat inside your vessels. All right, so the different names. So coronary artery disease it has many different names. So once you start learning about the medical field, you'll understand that one thing has many different names. It's almost like they want to confuse you on purpose so you don't know what's really going on. All right, so if you have coronary artery disease, you also have what's called atherosclerosis. It's the exact same thing. You also have high cholesterol. High cholesterol means it's fat, adipose, not adipose, but it's a lipid, lipid, so it's fat. It means you have fat inside your vessels. Hypertension, that means you have high blood pressure. Who here has ever seen the tip of a water hose get squeezed when there's water running through it? What happens to that water when you put a thumb in the front? What happens?
It explodes.
It explodes, right? Okay, so these vessels that are going over your heart are the water hose. When we put fat pockets, we're pretty much pinching the inside, so that makes that pressure goes up. So hypertension, hyper means high, tension means tension. So the tension inside the vessels is high. So that extra fat is making the blood rush faster. That's why you get hypertension, so it's all connected. These two, which are the same thing as this, is making this happen. It's like the thing called string theory, almost. One thing makes another thing happen, or it's connected to it some way, somehow. Okay? So that's why it's all the same thing. So, for any confusion. So again, atherosclerosis, high cholesterol, means you have fat. So these right here, this is a clean vessel. This is someone that has a good diet. Right here, see that? There's nothing in the way. It's like a river that's flowing. Here we have pockets of fat. Now we have like a little dam that's starting to flow. And that's that pinch that starts to make that blood go fast, make that pressure go up like a water hose. That makes sense?
Mm-hmm.
All right, that's what that is. All right, so I'm gonna read this. So these are different names associated with this illness. So it's the exact same thing. It's almost like it's a mask, right? Some are as a result of or different names for the same illness. So same thing or a result of. So the hypertension, the high blood pressure, is a result of these two. Same thing, same thing. All right, any questions about that? I'm gonna post it on YouTube too, in case you guys have questions, so you guys know. All right, so again, symptoms. So from having the fat, first off, I put that, look at this, continuation of diabetes. So what is diabetes? Who knows what diabetes is somewhat?
Diabetes are cause of like a high blood pressure, which causes the body to
High sugar, actually. So it's high sugar. So it's a lot of sugar. So it's a lot of sugar in the system. That's what it is. But you're on the right track. So that if you have a lot of sugar, you guys ever seen syrup being poured before? Having a lot of sugar in your bloodstream is like having syrup in your bloodstream. It's gonna slow it down. As a result, your blood pressure will go up. So you're right about that. But to go further, a further step is that same sugar, if you have too much sugar, that's what's fat. So if you have too much sugar, it gets stored as fat around your body, but also inside your vessels. So the fact that the sugar's thick is causing more pressure to make it, so just to move it a little bit, and now that same sugar is being stored as fat in the vessels, so now we're really increasing that blood pressure. Does that make sense or no? Hopefully it does, all right. So that's why it's connected, because if you have diabetes, in general, to keep it simple, diabetes just means you have a lot of sugar in your blood. All right, so if you have a lot of sugar in your blood, you're gonna have coronary artery disease because that extra sugar gets stored as fat, and it's gonna get stored as fat everywhere around your body, but also here. Okay. Now, with that being said, not everyone that has coronary artery disease or atherosclerosis or high cholesterol, same thing, not everybody's gonna have diabetes. All right? So, but most people that have diabetes will go into this illness. Now, the reason is because a lot of people this goes to genetics now. A lot of people have been fed crap for a lot of time and their body has had to overcome it. So genetically, you bypass that diabetic illness and go straight into coronary artery disease. That's because of ancestry and diets. So a lot of people that have died off, it's almost like evolution. They were fed like water and bread like a prisoner, and then the ones that died off, but the ones that survived were able to overcome the disease of diabetes. So that some of them, they bypass diabetes because of that genetic factor, and they go straight into this. But those that have diabetes will get this, right? That'll make sense down the road, maybe. All right. Any questions about this at all? No. So you guys kind of see how it's tied in, though. How like one illness creates another illness, and it really all sprouts from bad diet. So it's really diabetes. Now, if you and your family don't have diabetes, but you have this, that's because your ancestors back in the days probably all died off, the ones that were gonna die off from it, and everybody else genetically is now modified to like not even worry about that, because your body will, over time, adapt to its environment. Make sense? Okay, cool. All right. So I put all this stuff here because this is all the stuff that's gonna cause diabetes. Okay, if it's bread, not really the meat and the pork and the veggies, but really the bread. All right, so like meat, bacon, you can eat that stuff all day, every day. That's actually good for you. It helps your bloodstream and it helps like just get minerals. But if you're eating like just carbs and processed foods, pretty much if it's carbs and processed, like it had to go through a process to be preserved so it could last longer, it's crap for you. All right, it's really bad for you. It adds on to it. Cereal. The good carbs that are good for you, like some people like carbs and you feel good with carbs, but are like the natural carbs, like any potato, rices. Those are good carbs. They haven't been processed. If they came straight from the ground and they go to your kitchen, that's good. But if you went somewhere else and now it's in a potato chip and it's processed, because it has chemicals that aren't natural and our bodies are natural. So if you start putting unnatural stuff in your body, what is it gonna cause? And unnatural things, right? Like diabetes, like hypertension, like cancer, because you're putting unnatural things in your body, okay? And the unnatural things are addictive on purpose, right? All right, so medical conditions branching from coronary artery disease. So if you hear cardiovascular disease, it's another way of saying atherosclerosis and high cholesterol. It's just a different way of saying it. You guys see how there's 4 different names for the same illness? It's almost confusing, right? Until somebody breaks it down for you. All right, so if you hear this again, it's the exact same thing, so I don't have to go over it. Because what does this mean? It means CAD in general, I want you to listen to this. CAD in general, coronary artery disease in general, just means you have fat inside your vessels. Johnny, what does CAD mean? Not what does it stand for, but what does it mean? I just said it. It means you have what inside your what?
Fat inside your muscles.
Inside your vessels, the vessels that feed the muscles, right? So, and then how do we get that fat inside the vessels? What do we have to have a lot of in our bloodstream? Sugar. And how do we have a lot of sugar in our bloodstream? By consuming and eating what? Junk, carbs, right? Specifically carbs, processed foods. And the ones that are processed because they have the chemicals that make it last longer, and those aren't good for us, all right? All right, so that's that. And then poor circulation, we talked about it, right? If you have CAD, most likely you already have a lot of sugar in your body, in your body. So that sugar is gonna make the blood go like syrup. That's gonna slow it down. And also, because you have extra sugar in the blood, it stores as fat around the vessels, right? Which gives you even more poor circulation. Have you guys ever seen anybody with varicose veins? I didn't put it up here. You guys seen those? Varicose veins? That's like the vein, like we have like the little, like almost look like little roots that are spreading out on the skin, varicose veins. You guys never seen that? That you see them a lot on light-skinned people. All right, that is also a symptom from poor circulation. That's from the veins. So when the blood is trying to go back up, because you're so backed up, the blood vessels start to like branch off and just like sprout out everywhere. And it's because the blood is being backed up. So that's what that's about. All right, any questions so far? No? All right, cool. Let's keep going. We're almost done with this. All right, so acute coronary syndrome, that is this right here. That is when you have a partial obstruction, all right, to where it's almost closed off. So that means that one of these vessels, let's say this vessel right here, is almost completely obstructed, and so almost no blood flow is going to a part of the heart. All right, so what happens to that part of the heart? You think it might start dying? Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's starting to die. So that's when somebody has chest pain. So whenever grandpa or grandma has chest pain and you know they have a heart condition, that is called acute coronary syndrome. Acute doesn't mean adorable. Acute means sudden, like it just happened, okay? So that means that for some reason, it's starting to close up and a part of the heart is now not getting any blood. So it's like a warning sign, like, hey, there's a problem here. So come look at it. So that's acute coronary syndrome. And then myocardial infarction is the exact same thing, but it just means that now it's completely closed off. Now this grew so hard that it just completely closed off blood flow to a part of the heart, and now that it's dying for sure, most likely. That part of the heart is dying for sure. All right, so that is, and here's your visual, okay? So this right here is a